It was very evident to me that everything is hopelessly outdated, obsolete, and not working.
Things are changing really, really fast. Everyone's saying it. We're all feeling it. So I don't know if AI is a buzzword anymore, but it's certainly something we're talking about regularly. When did AI really click for you?
But the first time I started implementing AI into the marketing activities was in around 2014.
You know, we hear a lot that brand loyalty is waning, right? And you have neuro research that shows like it kind of doesn't exist anyway.
Yep. I have bought so many things. I never had any need for them. I didn't even know the brand names. You cannot run and hide from the culture. Then you become irrelevant.
People actually want to engage with people.
I think marketers will get it right. They will seize this opportunity and they will not cede the control to somebody else to run our craft.
Hey everyone, welcome to Made for TikTok. I'm Sofia Hernandez, Global Head of Business Marketing and Commercial Partnerships. Today, I'm speaking with Rajamannar, the Global Chief Marketing and Communications Officer at Mastercard and the author of Quantum Marketing, and I hear he has a second book on the way. Raja spent his career guiding teams through technological shifts with a practical focus on outcomes and measurement. And today, we're going to get his perspective on where artificial intelligence adds value, what should stay human, and how we set guardrails for the responsible use of AI. So Raja, thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited that we were able to make this happen.
Thank you, Sophia. Really appreciate you having me here and looking forward to our conversation.
Let's jump in.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if AI is a buzzword anymore, but it's certainly something we're talking about regularly. When did AI really click for you? When did you know this was something that was significantly going to impact our industry?
So, it's pretty interesting for me being trained as an engineer. I'm a chemical engineer by training. I have always been trying to dive deep into various technologies. Machine learning, neural learning, and artificial intelligence were all terms that were floating around for some time. But the first time I started implementing AI into the marketing activities was in around 2014.
2014?
Correct.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Yes. So what I tried to do was I said, what does this do? What does AI even do that a regular macro or a regular algorithm cannot solve? So I started teaching myself machine learning and figured out that if there is a way that we can listen to the social chatter, which happens across multiple channels, make sense out of it, and create a predictive model as to what is going to be the next micro trend in social media.
Okay.
And create appropriate and automatically generated campaigns to fit that particular context, it'll be a dream come true.
Okay, this is in 2014.
Correct.
Right.
So started working on it. It didn't immediately happen. And I had one of my team members from Singapore. He was the head of Asia Pacific for marketing and communications. So he and we started brainstorming. And fast forward, we created what we call as the Mastercard digital marketing engine.
Okay.
So what this engine does is very simple. It listens to all the chatter, whether it is social media or mainstream media. Based on that, it'll predict what is the next micro trend. A micro trend is a trend that lasts for less than 3 days. And it's say, for example, a particular micro trend is going to happen starting tomorrow. So in 3 days, it's going to get over. The hypothesis is if your communication is consistent with the theme of that particular conversation or the micro trend that is being projected, the campaign success will be far higher because the relevance factor is dramatically high. Again, that was a hypothesis, needed to be tested. And in order to do it in real time, because normally it would take us several days even to come up with a simple social campaign in those days. So we said we need to do a little bit of automation.
Okay.
And we also need to have some level of ready-made material. So we put a library or a repository of all our offers, communication messages, promotions, everything that we want, that we typically talk. And then we made the engine automatically match So once it predicts that this is going to be the micro trend, it looks at the repository and says, this is what is most relevant. And then quickly an ad is composed, and then we go buy and then release it. All this will take in less than 8 to 10 hours.
Wow. Okay.
And what we found, shockingly, but not very surprisingly, was that the effectiveness goes up anywhere between 4x to 8x. That was eye-opening to us. And we said, wow, this is amazing, both not only in effectiveness, but better management of my investments as well, and be more effective in the marketplace. So this is when we started with regular AI. And then, of course, the rest of it followed over the years. And now we feel that we are doing quite a bit of stuff around using Gen AI and agentic commerce and agentic AI. So a lot of good stuff is happening now.
That's incredible. I love how you're regularly practicing curiosity, innovation, clearly with an engineering background. You're thinking about these systems and tools in a way that maybe a traditional marketer isn't. In the story you just told, Raja, I'm curious, like, how do you incite that level of change within an organization like Mastercard or any organization? Because I speak to CMOs all over the world, and I feel like one of the biggest barriers is how do we change internally, our behaviors, the way we work, the operations? How do you implement something like that?
So two things. In any team, there are early adopters.
Yes.
Catch hold of your early adopters and really make them do this stuff.
Okay.
And use that as a shining example for other people. Good people are typically competitive. When they see one of their peers is doing so well, they would not want to get left behind. And you constantly keep showcasing. You constantly keep recognizing and rewarding people who are coming up or implementing these kind of cutting edge methodologies. Back to my book, if I can just go for 1 minute.
Please.
And then I'll connect the dots right now for you. So I wrote in the book in 2021, that's when it got published, Quantum Marketing, and I feel very grateful that it became a Wall Street Journal bestseller and got published.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it got published in 14 languages. The next one being on the 27th of October in Spanish in Mexico City.
Amazing.
And yeah, it's been a fantastic, very, very gratifying kind of feeling for me. In that I wrote that AI is going to be the single biggest disruptor of marketing. This was in 2021 before there was Gen AI. And I also talked about agentic AI, but I didn't know the term agentic AI. I said it's machine to machine marketing. I said you as a consumer will delegate your decision to a machine, and the marketer will delegate their activities to a machine. Now machines will talk to machines, and you have to win that battle, which is what we today call it as agentic commerce or agentic AI, right? Now, I saw these and I said that I need to make sure that people are equipped. You know, if you look at most of the classical marketers, they are from the creative fields. They are very good at storytelling, the art and the craft of marketing. They know brand positioning, psychology, colors, and all these good things. But the moment you drop in words like technology, data, finance, digital, they get a little freaked out. So the idea then is, how do you get the adoption of these new technologies across your entire team? So for example, today I have a professor who comes to Mastercard every single month, and he teaches people about AI. It's a global webcast.
Is it a mandatory thing?
It is. It has
for your
to
entire marketing
entire marketing organization. And they actually are grateful for that.
Yeah.
It's not seen as a punishment, but it is actually an enablement for them.
Correct.
They say, hey, I'll become much more well equipped. And also many times the fear of these unknown technologies is more than what they have to be fearful of.
Right.
At the moment they get the familiarity, they see the examples, they see that they are not the only ones who are a little behind on the journey, but there are other people. And we try to do a lot of, what do you call, cross-fertilization and cross-pollination of ideas. Things start working. We take a few pilots and we tell them this pilot is so simple, you can do it yourselves in your respective markets. And I can confidently say that today, at least more than 50% of my organization is well trained in AI. And that's a significant number.
That is incredible.
Yes.
Can I dive into that? I love the idea, especially from a leadership standpoint, of ensuring that your organization continues to expand their mind, right? And beyond the typical leadership training, right? How do you convert kind of the listening, learning, and taking to action? Do you have any kind of programs that you encourage where people actually start making things or putting it into practice? Like, how do you connect that dot?
So we have a whole bunch of activities that we do.
Okay.
So firstly, we have something called the Innovation Challenge. We ask people to come up with ideas and submit them, and why they think those ideas are good and why those ideas have the promise. So we want them to own. Mm-hmm. And then there is a panel of marketers from within my team who evaluate each one of them. And it's almost like a Shark Tank kind of a thing.
Okay.
And then they say these ideas are the best ones. Once it is done, we put funding into those ideas. And those people who came up with those ideas, we will get them take lead on this and drive this initiative. Both from a career development point of view, getting the right visibility and recognition within the company, they love it. And it's a beautiful experience for them. And for us, we get so many concepts. Like I'll just give you one example, which came completely out of this kind of an effort. There was a person who came on the team and she said that we should actually have something called Mastercard Music Accelerator.
Okay.
Now, what is this Mastercard Music Accelerator? So we got heavily into sonic branding, and it has got various layers of identity that we are creating purely based on sound for Mastercard, like the sound of Mastercard, but at 10 layers, not a very simplistic mnemonic kind of a thing. So what this lady has come up with is saying that, look, let's take a few artists who are budding artists. Let's give them mentorship. And these people who are being mentored, they will share their entire journey on social media, so other people can follow. Mm-hmm. And we will enhance our brand. We will help create new content that is relevant, and we'll utilize those content in some of our campaigns. And we went ahead and launched that. From concept to execution, probably it was less than 4 months. Concept of in market.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And in the very first round, we expected probably about 2,000-3,000 people will sign up. We had like 100,000 plus music artists. These are not just general population. They are people who have some musical talent, and they were following, and we were providing mentorship about how they could use technology to create music, how they should get discovered. If they create beautiful music, how do they get discovered? So what are the marketing skills required? Mm-hmm. And then how do they monetize? Because it's creating is fine, but these people want to make a living out of it. How do you make money out of it? So we had people who have walked the journey before them, and some of the top people in their field, we had them mentoring these 5 or 6 people.
Yeah.
It was so successful for us for the first year that we launched a second season. And the second season is doing even bigger and better than the very first one that we have done.
Raja, that would have been a great partnership for TikTok and Mastercard.
It's still not too late.
Okay, good. I think that's incredible. And I'm really inspired by this because I read something once that showed the number one reason people stay at companies or in their roles is actually not their pay. It's not their title. It's not even their boss. It's that they feel there are massive growth opportunities for them within that organization.
True.
So that's great to hear that you've really spearheaded these programs. Awesome.
Thank you.
So on that topic, things are changing really, really fast. Everyone's saying it. We're all feeling it. It's changing even faster, I think, for the CMO and the CMO's role and responsibilities. We were already seeing a shift there. In your book, Quantum Marketing, you talk about the 5th paradigm.
Yeah.
Where, and I'm going to paraphrase this, the classical kind of rules and ways of doing things are becoming outdated.
Correct.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So this is again something which came out of my work at Mastercard. And I feel very grateful as to why I stay with this company. Like you were telling before, is I get the freedom and the flexibility to experiment, to try out things out, etc., which is a beautiful feeling. When I looked at the entire landscape to do Mastercard's strategic planning for 5 years, somehow it was an aha moment for me. And I said, look, everything in marketing was formulated 6 or 7 decades back by the likes of Philip Kotler.
Yep.
And 6 or 7 decades back, there was no mobile phone, there was no social media, there was no artificial intelligence, there was no internet, right? So are those principles and theories timeless, or have they got to evolve with time? And do the frameworks for practice of marketing remain the same, or do they have to evolve? And I started really digging in every single element of the entire marketing ecosystem. And it was very evident to me that everything is hopelessly outdated, obsolete, and not working. So I said, first, for example, you take consumer insights. I had long discussions with the head of consumer insights for Unilever. I'm an ex-Unilever guy, and I respect that company for their depth of consumer research and stuff like that. So we both started talking, and I proposed to him, saying, hey, do you really think we are getting the right insights by the methodologies? Because I don't feel so. We do pre-testing of our campaigns. And if I go by the pre-tested results, or testing of those results in the pre-tests, every single one of my campaigns should have been a mega blockbuster.
Okay.
But it is not. It's actually, the correlation is very small. He said, you're spot on. And so we sort of came to a quick agreement that the way we are gathering consumer insights is absolutely crazy. The correlation, it has been estimated, between when a market research tells you this is going to be successful versus in market what exactly happens is 23%, which is worse than the tossing of a coin.
Wow.
Then why am I doing market research? Does it mean that I cannot do market research? No, you can. There are new methodologies. Understand one thing, which is in the field of consumer insights. Consumers' decision-making process is always subconscious. It is not conscious. We might want to think we are logical, we are rational, but in reality we are emotional and totally illogical in how we decide and make our decisions. And it is a subconscious process. So if you ask a consumer, why do you like it? Why did you do it? They give you a post-rationalization of their actions.
I understand.
As opposed to what the reality is. Now, neurosciences, the science are tools like electroencephalograms. If you bring them into the world of marketing, you can understand exactly what's going on in consumers' minds.
Yeah.
Whether this is going to resonate. Are the right parts of the brain sort of firing up, or are they just gone to sleep?
Right.
Looking at your campaign, then you got trouble. The correlation jumps to 80% plus. So neuro insights is the way to go there, as an example. Another thing I'll give you, I came across an article, and this is a little provocative, and I hope your audiences are all mature audiences. So I read an article in BBC, on bbc.com. It said that they did a research amongst people who were either married or in a relationship. And they said, how many of you have cheated on your partners? An astonishing 70% said that they have been cheating on their partners. 70%. And a further 15% said, if I'm 100% sure I won't get caught, I don't mind cheating. Now, I'm not here to make any value judgments or moral judgments. My point is, if people in their lives don't have loyalty, they're not hardwired for loyalty.
Right.
For example, if somebody is married, there is an explicit commitment of loyalty. They say till death do us apart. And they know there are consequences of not being loyal. If they're caught, the reputation is in the toilet. There might be financial damage, and there is emotional distress to the people they care. But still, they're not loyal. So I said, if 85% of the people are not hardwired for loyalty, we as marketers come and say, I will run loyalty programs. I will give you 1 point for every dollar that you spend, and thou shalt be loyal to me. That is stupidity.
Well, on the topic of subconscious decision making, and we hear a lot that brand loyalty is waning, right? And you have neuro research that shows like it kind of doesn't exist anyway. Yep. The rise of e-commerce and e-commerce solutions, and we obviously have an e-commerce platform, TikTok Shop. We're watching how what we've been taught about the path to purchase, or the way that a person navigates the funnel, right, is completely
there you go.
irrelevant.
Exactly.
Because the reality is, I will go on TikTok or any other platform and I will not have any intention to buy. But I'm sucked in by something that I was inspired by, that made me laugh, that touched my emotion. It's just an immediate non-rational reaction. And and because of the technology, I can purchase now.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've bought everything from charger cords to a garlic press to a mascara
Yeah.
on TikTok, not even planning to have bought something, and certainly not looking for a garlic press or a mascara or a charging cord. But you get sucked in. And the way I like to think about it is, if you think about the days where we went to malls, do you remember back then?
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like you're walking down, the corridor, and someone pops out and says, like, do you want to try this perfume? And they're just kind of like approaching you and handing to you. That's what I feel like the digital experience is like today when it comes to commerce.
You're so right, actually. In fact, I myself am a victim or perpetrator, call it whatever, of that instant commerce. And I have bought so many things. I never had any need for them. I didn't even know the brand names at the time of making the purchase. The product looked good. There was something appealing to me. Go buy it.
Not knowing the brand names is a great point.
Correct. Not even knowing the brand names, right?
Yes.
And the whole idea is what we used to talk about in classical marketing as awareness, interest, desire, action, satisfaction.
Correct.
Collapsed into one. A single click, it's all done. So the funnel has collapsed completely. And we have to adapt our practices to that. And what you're narrating is an example, which I think is exactly demonstrates that point.
Raja, I'm not joking. I work with every CMO around the world. It is literally my job, right? And I help them understand how to lean into newer technology, how to really adopt TikTok into. I'm shocked at how much of this industry is still operating in very traditional, and this is the point in your fifth paradigm, very traditional methods of measurement, of media planning, of how they believe a consumer is navigating the space. When is this going to change? How is it going to change? What are your thoughts?
See, I think here is my prognosis, and I hope it doesn't happen. My prognosis is threefold. Number one, a lot of marketing will be delegated to machines. And I think marketers might get a little lazy and abdicate their responsibilities to autonomous machines. And I see a lot of it already happening. Like, for example, recently, just about 2 or 3 days back, I saw an article that even a high-profile consulting firm has dedicated their entire report that was to be submitted to a government of Australia.
Yes.
They gave it to AI. I think what happens is people normally gravitate to comfort and less work. And one of my fears is marketers will become lazy and delegate it to the machines. That's one part of it. In which case the machines are smarter. They'll get even more smarter. And today if I start a company, come along and I say, hey, you know what? Here is a fantastic machine. It takes away everything and does it for you, measures your ROI, gives everything back to you. I think you will happily do it. So this is one part of it.
Okay.
The second part of it is, I feel that when all the companies face brutal competition, because everyone will have access to the same tools and everyone will have access to the same platforms, as a result of which the output that comes out or the strategies that come out with the help of AI will be stunningly similar. It will be a sea of sameness. When that sea of sameness comes in, it becomes highly commoditized. Now, I told you, I bought so many things where I didn't even know the brand name. So what's the role of brand going to be, right? So the role of marketing is actually going to be at its best now, because companies cannot just be living and thriving in a commoditized environment. They have to differentiate themselves. And that differentiation will happen from the best marketers. So to me, this is the golden age of marketing that is just about to begin.
That's very inspiring. I love that. You hear that, everyone? The golden age of marketing is coming.
I believe
And
so.
it requires marketers who really can help with differentiation. I also, who don't just lean into the new technology to replace kind of their day-to-day activities. One of the things I say often is we're very, very good as marketers of being students of culture, right? We pay Kantar to give us, and even now we have even more information that can just be fed to us. We're really bad at actually being practitioners of culture. So how do you roll up your sleeves, get in there, experience what your audiences are experiencing, get in there and have the conversation in the comments or in TikTok. I think a good example of this is, and I use it often, Corey Marchesotto from ELF. There's one story she tells where there was a lot of buzz happening about a product she had discontinued, and she took the opportunity to run down the hall, ask the CEO to get on a TikTok live with her and actually address the community, right? And this wasn't run by the comms team, and this wasn't run by the way, earmuffs to your comms team and your legal team, but it wasn't run by them. And he just showed up like a human who cares about what the people he wants to buy his products are talking about. And we have to be able to do more of that. We have to be more spontaneous. It's very hard for organizations like Procter & Gamble or Unilever or Mastercard to behave that way because there's a lot of protection, concern around, putting your brand in the hand of the community. So can you talk to me about that as the global CMO of one of the biggest companies in the world?
Absolutely. So one of the things I would say is, fortunately, cultural relevance is an area that we are acutely conscious of. For example, when we were looking at the statistics of various sporting activities, because we sponsor a number of sports and curate experiences for our consumers and customers. One of the sports which came in the research was esports.
Okay.
And the other one was electronic dance music. So sports was one, EDM was one. So let's take sports. I said, what is this esport? I started looking at the data together with my team. The data was very impressive. It was fastest growing than anything else out there.
Okay.
And when I looked at it, and they showed me the platforms like Twitch, which actually where the games are broadcast and comments are going. Yep. I looked at it and I could not grasp anything because there was so much happening in front of me. The game was happening. People were moving. Even before I figured out, there are all kinds of comments floating. I can't even pause to read this, nor watch the game. It was so... I said, look, am I getting obsolete? Or are these guys so damn crazy? I spent a lot of time to educate myself on this.
Okay.
And we partnered with a company called Riot Games. They literally tutored us, telling us about what this sport is about, what's the big deal. Because I would not have thought ever that you would have a League of Legends championship at Madison Square Garden, and there are tens of thousands of people who are watching on big screens, the two teams of 5 each who are battling it on their screens.
Right.
If I were a classical marketer, I said, this is stupid, doesn't make any sense, and we would not want to get into it.
Yep.
The second thing, these youngsters, particularly in the gaming industry, they are, I think, very spontaneous in how they express. They don't filter. If they don't like something, they just call it out. And once it starts, the downturn, it can be a huge crisis. So we were being cautioned by various people, hey, don't step into esports. So we said, what? You cannot run and hide. You have to be in the culture.
Yes.
You cannot run and hide from the culture. Then you become irrelevant.
100%.
You become an old, irrelevant brand. Mastercard is anything but. And we said, we'll get into esports. But then you cannot blindly go. You have to be prepped for that. That's where Riot Games, I'm very grateful for their education that they have given us and my team members. And then begin. So one of the things they said, for example, is you got to show up authentically. Don't be a big corporate brand which is coming in your suit. They will throw up on you. You got to be native. You need to know when to talk and when to shut up.
That's the same on the TikTok platform. How did you... let's talk about that. How did you decide what that was, and how did you define that?
So if you mess up something, you say, I messed it up. I'm sorry. And we'll do everything to make sure it doesn't happen again. And we'll do our best.
Yeah.
They appreciate honesty. They appreciate transparency. They know that we are also human beings.
Well,
You're-
let me just say something there, because brands don't want to be people. They want to be brands, right? And the evolution of how people want to engage with brands is people actually want to engage with people.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of pressure on brands now to be more real time, more personal, be in the conversation.
And be human.
But that's not how we're set up to operate internally. So how, in your Riot Games example, being on Twitch as a brand, et cetera, like how did you navigate that through your legal teams? How did you get permission to just be in there and have a conversation and be vulnerable and maybe do some things that don't go over so well?
Yeah, and that it's, I would be kidding to say that everything we have done went on spotlessly and hugely successful. We had our own setbacks too. But the key thing is, when you're truthful and transparent, you get respect from this community. When you collaborate with people who are very dependable, they are partners. They are there to help and guide, not just take your advertising dollars. It's very, very helpful. And that's what I would again praise Riot Games. And number 3, we hired people who are from this generation, who were in that culture. Right? And that makes a huge difference. They talk the language. The lingo is exactly the same. They understand what is happening. And,
Right.
and we empowered them to do what they have to do. We also had agency support because we could not hire, we don't have the luxury of hiring as many people as we would want. And particularly for these experimental projects, so to speak, at the start they were experimental. We had to rely a lot on our agency partners too. And we had lots of hands-on training for the more senior folks who struggle to get their heads around this crazy world. And then we said, you have to, because this is where, and these are the generations who are going to sustain us for the next 30, 40, 50
Right.
years. And it worked brilliantly. Now, fast forward today. No, Mastercard is not a direct-to-consumer company. We market to banks or fintech companies who in turn market their cards to various consumers.
Right.
It's not just sufficient for us to get educated. I need to carry the banks along with me, the fintech companies along with me. So I was going around saying that, hey, banks, we should launch co-branded cards. We call them passion cards of League of Legends. Many banks, they were nervous, but there were some early adopters. And we said, okay, let's sign on. So we have now more than a dozen of these passion cards around the world doing exceptionally successfully. And the program is so successful that we now launched, we sponsored a second game of Riot Games. It's called Valorant. And we already have our first passion card around Valorant. So what
Very
happens is, once you set the flywheel in motion, stay consistent with your effort. Don't sort of start, stop, go away. The flywheel has to gain the momentum. That's when it starts making the magic. And that's what is happening to us.
Quick side question on this. How do you treat this level of innovation experimentation in your budget? Do you allocate a small percentage of your
Yes.
budget? Okay.
A very small percentage of our money we set up for experimental projects.
Okay.
That's number 1. And number 2, we also select projects that are not just only for theoretical learning, but we have some hypothesis. If this succeeds, what is the commercial opportunity?
Okay.
If it doesn't scale, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
So what is the scalable opportunity for us? And that's what we try to do.
I love that. So Raja, now that we're all using AI on a day-to-day basis, where have you seen the most impact to your business?
So in fact, I have to really look hard to see where I'm not using AI in my business.
Okay, that's like a challenge to the rest of the community,
Yes.
Raja.
This is something, once you realize the power of AI, it's so exciting and it's so energizing and it saves you both a lot of time, effort, and money. I'll give you a couple of examples,
Please.
right? For example, we have about 60,000 plus banks who are our clients. And each bank puts out an RFP once every 3 years, 4 years or whatever, which means on an average, we have got a ton of RFPs in the pipeline. And there is a lot of activity around getting the RFP
Okay.
answered and to construct the deals. submit it to the clients, which the salespeople, they lead the whole effort. And one of the innovations that we came up with is what we call RFP Factory. RFP Factory is we took all our past RFPs and trained the AI engine on every one of them. What kind of questions, what kind of answers were there, and what were the results of those RFPs? What was the outcome? Now, when a new RFP comes from Bank ABC, when it comes in, it comes to marketing, to my B2B marketing group. They feed this RFP, and the answer is churned out by the AI rapidly in a matter of few minutes. It takes the latest data from various sources.
And they know which answers were successful and which weren't.
It's unbelievable, right?
It's so simple and so great.
And few minutes.
Yep.
Then, because there is hallucination that we just spoke a little
Yes,
while back,
yes.
there is a human oversight, which takes one day. So if I get something in the morning, by the end of the day, we are able to finish the first draft of the RFP, give it to the sales guys and say, now you go, you construct your deal.
And normally this process was
7 weeks.
7 weeks, and you're doing it in 3 days.
One day, right? That is the potential that
Yeah.
we have got here. This is what for our internal working. I'll tell you how external working actually it
Okay.
helps. So these 60,000 banks and fintech companies, they issue our cards. So when they issue the cards, we have strict brand guidelines and strict guidelines in total, not just brand, where the chip has to go, what's the size of the chip,
Right.
orientation of the chip, card, logo, everything, max stripe, everything has to come through. So when a bank decides, say, hey, I want to launch a card for millennials, and they brief their agency, the agency, design agency or ad agency, whatever, they come back with some designs to the bank. They say, hey, can we modify this, maybe change this is looking too similar to that, whatever feedback they give. The agency comes back with their submissions. And finally, after the bank selects one or two, they send it to Mastercard. Can you please approve this? We look at it, invariably, there are a couple of brand guidelines that are being violated. I said, oops, sorry, you have not adhered to this, go back. They go back to the drawing board, the same thing happens again and again. Now, what we did was, we created something called Card Design Studio, Mastercard Card Design Studio. It's hosted on our cloud. So if you are a small bank sitting in, say, Philippines, so you as a bank and the marketing manager or the cards product manager, you say, okay, this is the same audience that I have got. You feed that into the AI engine. It will spew out 20 designs instantly that are compliant with Mastercard standards.
Yeah.
So there is no to and fro. And you can ask it to modify, it will modify. Suddenly you might decide, you know what, I don't want horizontal orientation. Can you turn the whole thing into vertical? It will do in a fraction of a second. It's all done. So what happens is what used to take several weeks now is a matter of few minutes.
Yeah.
And this makes the lives of our clients so easy that they are thrilled. And we are the only one who do it in our industry today.
That's incredible.
Which is a competitive advantage to us.
Yes.
So this is another example. I can tell you how it is.
Amazing. All right, Raja, do you have TikTok downloaded on your phone?
Me, yes.
Okay, great. I'm so glad you said that. What does your For You page show you on a regular basis? What kind of content are you consuming?
I must confess that I have come onto the platform fairly recently.
Okay.
And I like animals and animal videos. I like songs. And I like current news and breakthroughs.
Okay. Lots of funny pet videos.
I get all of those.
And news.
And news.
Okay.
But what is most important for me, and it's a more recent discovery, by accident I found out that actually there are learning programs available
Yes.
through TikTok. And I'm a little bit of a geek in terms of wanting to learn. And every weekend, I spend at least 5 to 6 hours learning something new.
Love that.
So I said, this is something which is going to be interesting, because when I thought of learning normally, I would go to either YouTube to look at some of those videos. I read books, or either audio book or regular book or whatever, or I'd watch some TED Talks and stuff like that, or maybe masterclass and so on. Now, when I looked at this, what really appealed to me was how they have simplified the learning
Yes.
process into little bites that you just get the gist of it. I say, oh, this is pretty cool.
Yes.
And that I started asking about AI. And there are so many young kids who are posting about AI. I genuinely am finding value in it.
When you say you started asking, you were searching for AI on the
Correct.
platform?
Correct.
Okay.
So I said, I would say AI, learn AI.
Okay.
And then it sort of gives me a whole bunch of options. And I keep sort of looking at something. If it catches the thing, that's what I click on and I see. And I'm finding it pretty valuable. And it happens like, for example, again, not to compare and contrast, but if I were to say a typical long form, like a YouTube at this point in time, this seems to be a lot more productive and more precise and relevant to me and my low span of attention.
That's great to hear. Yeah, TikTok is definitely a discovery platform. I don't know that if you're not on it, you don't necessarily think about it as a place you can go to get educated on things. We have a section for STEM that's helping kids all over the world with difficult math questions. And I mean, you're an engineer, so you get it. Maybe it's easy for you, Raja, but for the rest of us, not so much. And it's snackable bites. It's simplifying the complex. And it's everyday people who are passionate about these topics, really helping the world understand. The New York Times called it the last sunny spot of the internet once. And I really hung on to that
Beautiful.
phrase because it is beautiful. On my page, I get a lot of Latino humor. I definitely have a lot of pet content.
Okay.
And fashion and travel. I've a bad case of wanderlust, always have in my life. So I love to travel. And I've started to use it more, and really we're seeing this across the globe. We have 50% year-over-year growth in people using TikTok as a search engine.
Amazing.
And so you're coming here because when you want to know where should I take my team for a group outing dinner, right? You can either go into a search engine, put that in and get some static results, or you can go into TikTok and actually see hundreds of videos of people who've already gone to that place and have had that dinner and are giving you kind of the experience through video. So it's exciting to see. It's incredible for travel. I go to TikTok for all my travel inquiries. But it's great to see that in your experience, albeit a newer one, you have really gravitated towards like educational content.
Yeah, and that was quite an unexpected discovery for me.
I love that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
How would you, now that you're more used to it, you've asked it AI questions about learning AI, et cetera, how would you apply that to your role as a marketer? What do you think marketers should be doing on this platform to make themselves better at their jobs?
See, I would put it as 3-4 things, right? So first and foremost, it is an understanding of the culture. And you are at that intersection of culture and technology and commerce. I think every marketer needs to know that. So the thing is, you don't get addicted to it, but at least experiment with it and then find out how it is, how the experience is, and so on, number one. Number two, see what other brands are doing.
Yes.
Competitive information is very useful. And if they are doing something, you say, hey, they're doing this. Why am I not doing anything? Or can I do something different and better than what these guys are doing?
Yep.
That's the second opportunity which a marketer should use. The third one for me is commerce. It's not only because I'm from Mastercard and we are all about commerce, but as a marketer, your business is to drive the business of your company. And which is commerce of some form or fashion, whether it is B2B or B2C or whatever it is, it doesn't matter, it's still commerce. And I think to understand the true potential.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about the purchase of the items that you talked about before, and how from discovery to purchase, it is just happens instantly.
Yes.
Being there at that moment of truth is going to be mighty critical, and it's going to be a big business driver. As a marketer, I need to be there. I cannot be not there.
That's right.
Right? So that's one. And the very last one I would say, particularly for a platform like TikTok, I'm suspecting that the age profile is much younger. That's my suspicion. It could be right or wrong. But the point is, it is these younger people that you have to win today for your company to thrive into decades into the future.
Yep.
And so I think from that point of view, it will be fantastic for marketers to play with it and learn, experiment, play, and win.
Yeah. To give you some insight, it's definitely, we started very much as a Gen Z platform. Our fastest growing segment is 35 plus.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because TikTok is a place people are coming to watch things. It's not a social media platform. It's built on a content graph. So people are coming here to watch. They're coming here to learn. They're coming here to discover, which is incredible. All right. The next thing we have to get you to do is actually make a TikTok. That's your next assignment.
That'll be fantastic. I look forward to it.
Maybe we'll do it after this podcast.
Done. We'll do that. Absolutely. I look forward to that.
Great.
That'll be one good way to impress my kids.
Okay, great. All right, we'll help you with that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
A lot of today's conversation was about things that have emerged very quickly, new technologies, new behaviors, etc. In a decade, when you look back on the last 10 years, what do you hope CMOs got right?
I think when I look at the early 2000s, marketers have seized or have literally they left control of their space to technologists and data scientists. This time around, when yet again we are coming from the fourth to the fifth paradigm, I think marketers will get it right. They will seize this opportunity. And they will not cede the control to somebody else to run our craft.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
All right. Let's do it, CMOs. Let's go.
Let's do it, folks. Absolutely.
Raja, thank you so much for joining us here on Made for TikTok. You have been an incredible guest. I'm always so inspired by everything you say and your vision and the actions you've taken throughout your career. So thank you. I'm excited to see what this second book has to offer. Bestseller on the first one. Can't wait to read the second.
Thank you so very much for having me here again. I really appreciate it and look forward to creating my first TikTok video.
Let's do it.
We'll do that.
Let's do it. All right. Thank you, everyone.